Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button and keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are after market close on Friday, September 29th. We're going to take an updated look at AVTX today. So Avalo Therapeutics continuing to pull back, sort of doubly so. So since it shot up here, sort of pushing toward the 30-cent level, and then big drop off. This day was a minus 38% day and curled itself back, and a nice pushback through this gap, right? You see how it filled this gap here. On this candle here was, followed up by sort of considerable retracement in the subsequent days. So sort of, not the same, but similar-ish feeling motion. Big rise, big fall. Now the question is, here it came down, and it didn't need to make a low lower than the 8-cent level that it had over here prior to the push. Though there is a gap down there that's not quite been filled by that wick, which we were watching previously. But now it's coming in and sort of getting dangerously close to these swing lows here. So 1207, the low on this candle was 9.5 cents. So it's within a few pennies there of that. So I just bring that up to say my hope here for the bulls would be, with our second swing up here, we made a much lower high than previously. At a bare minimum, what I'd be looking for is a higher low to get put in here before it starts to curl up again. If so, that might give me some sort of hope that there could be some bullish momentum found again, and it might give it some opportunity to carry on. Just having a look here. I'm going to put a level in here at the bottom of this candle body, top-ish area of this wick, bottom of these two wicks-ish here, maybe three, I guess. At that 1323 level, I think that is playing a role for the time being, so that's probably something to at least note. Now, we are getting a little bit of a downtrend resistance here. I'm going to refrain from putting that in for now, just because it would really only be confirmed by a candle or two at the moment. I'd rather have us put in, maybe mid next week. If it's continuing to put in a motion, then maybe put in a level, a trend line. But you see here, this is just 4 candles, but clearly there was an uptrend that you could have drawn here, but then you would have just quickly lost it. So without there being a ton of motion in one direction, that's very clear. Just a few candle bodies, in my sort of opinion, you're bound to trick yourself more than anything. Now, one thing to note, we had this huge spike up here in September, and then big drawdown and another spike late September. We do see the short interest as of mid-September had also gone through its own huge spike. So we had it was climbing through June and July and August. And if we flip over here and we look back to June, July, and August, here's July, right? So you had June here, right? You're way up here, and then this huge plummet down 88% on June 26th. And the shorts just sort of kept on coming through that. So just continued to uptick, and then just a ever so slight pullback, and then a huge jump up, much higher than it had been previously, though their days to cover have come down to about 1. So, there's sort of a little bit of a trade-off here where you had very low interest here, but some were holding for quite a significant period of time. But this is most likely adding a bunch of pressure, a bunch of selling pressure in a stock that's already, gone through a lot here, but is also, just continuing to try to find its footing here and just going through some wild swings as it's trying to do so, and sort of say, okay, like, was 8 cents the floor? Is there more to be had? You see this huge uptick in just overall volume lately that, even back here, you didn't really see spikes that seem to be, of the same magnitude as the recent ones. So something to sort of like consider, keep in mind there that shorts are coming in very hot and heavy, and we'll probably have the end of September. This is mid-September, remember. This reports out twice in the sort of free data sets. You can pay to get the estimates daily, but these ones will come out twice a month, and so we'll probably get the end of September one, in about 10 days or so, I would guess. So you're always sort of lagging a little bit behind, but it'd be interesting to see if that continues to spike even higher, even after such a huge spike. It's about triple what it was before, or if it peels back a little bit, knowing that it had this retracement down, and then this most recent push up was not even able to really come close to clearing that 30-cent range that it had pressed toward before. Now, if we zoom into today, we have that, I guess, just one additional level that I had just put in. We see it came in at open, shrugged right off to 5/10,000ths of a penny, or whatever the correct decimal placement is there, to the level that we had on the chart. So level holding up really nicely there, skipped right through this 1396, fell and confirmed resistance here against that 1323, and then fell again, skipped a level. I guess it maybe sort of tried to hold here a little bit, but sort of double bottomed here on this 1201, gave it a nice push, tried to build support over 1238, couldn't, lost it again, and sort of continued to bottom. So sort of a quadruple bottom here. My worry there always becomes, is it going to the well too many times? In other words, are buyers going to stop showing up at that 12-cent level, because you're just sort of exhausting the buying pressure there. So that would be sort of my concern, looking at today's price action, but, it's one day, so it may not mean much of anything. And this stock, as we know, has just some incredibly wild swings. I mean, yesterday at one point it was up at 16.32, and now it's, 4 cents lower. And that's a huge percentage change. It's only 4 cents, but when the stock goes from 16 cents to 12 cents, talking about huge percentage changes there. So, so it is just one day, and it just is sort of like crazy with volume, and it's crazy with swings at the moment. So we'll see if that continues to be the case. But that is the thing I would watch going into Monday. What's happening with that $12 level? Have buyers stopped showing up there, or did they finally overcome the bearish pressure that we see here around, as we approach sort of 13 cents? That's where the selling continuously kept happening as the day pressed on today. So that's what I'll be looking at heading into Monday. Make sure you got the right chart here. AVTX on the Think or Swim study. This is the 1 hour chart, just to be clear. We saw some triggering here as it was moving sideways, a little bit down, and then a big push down. So this is probably a pretty good call out here. Called out the 14-cent down to the 12-cent move on the TTM squeeze indicator. So not bad, but mostly like, because the swings have been so wild lately, the other thing that it kind of throws off is like, while that's a pretty big percentage change, it doesn't even register nearly as much as some of the most recent price action on the histogram. Right here you have huge bearish momentum picking up and then dying down and then sort of baselining and then picking up again, and it was like I said, it was a pretty big move, sort of a double move here, but it didn't even get close, maybe half as much or so as this histogram here. And also the other thing to note is through that motion you see 2 moves to the downside after it returned to the baseline. So something to note, when we had the big swing up here, we had a little move up, right, a long trigger, and then it fired, made a little move up, comparatively speaking, and then back to the baseline here on the histogram, re-triggered and fired again, and that is where the big move came, right? So I'm not saying that this is the same pattern or that it's even super similar. This was the much larger momentum play, and this was the much larger momentum play compared to this one, at least for the time being. But just to note that it sort of gets trapped in these sort of patterns in both directions, right? The little bullish swing up, build on the baseline, aka the mid-range of the channel, pretty nice confluence there, and then really big push. Similarly here, gets drawn down quite hard, back stuck under the mid-range of the channel, starts to base as it's pinning itself to the mid-range of the channel, and then another big push down toward the lower bound of the channel. So just something to keep in mind there. I'm going to want to see it, from a bullish perspective, I'm going to want to see it retest the mid-range here, this bright blue line in the center of the channel, and gain support over there and make a push toward the upper bound of the channel. That may make me feel like, there's some more juice to be squeezed. And who knows if we can overcome this swing high, but that would certainly be a really great sign if we were able to do that. All right. I think we've covered a lot in this video. I hope you had a good trading week and that you enjoy your weekend. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.